Welcome back to Alice Talks Football and welcome back to a live Manchester United news, transfer news and update show. Manchester United play Leicester tonight in the FA Cup. Is it Patrick Dorgu debut time? Ruben Amorim has spoken out about Dorgu and Heaven, the additions, their role in the squad and more. He's also spoken about Hojlund and Xerxes, their form, the lack of strikers, the plan for Cheeto. But before we even discuss that, the transfer links, Rashford to Barcelona, many stories coming out, updates on injuries, there's two things that I want to particularly address in today's show. And that is the constant transfer links. There's constant transfer links. United are in for Gyokeres, United are in for Cunha, United are in for Kane, United are in for Quenda, United are in for this player, United are in for that player, United's going to spend 100 million here, United's going to spend 50 million here. And I'm going to say this. We know who United's targets are and we know what positions they're looking at. We'll discuss that in more detail. But the journalists, a lot of them are lying to you. The January window's slammed shut and all of a sudden they know exactly what Man United are going to do in the summer window. They don't. We've got reliable journalists giving us insight into what Manchester United might do. I will tell you what you need to, what's true, what's not true. But you've got all these journalists writing stories that we're going to sign Victor Gyokeres. We might sign Victor Gyokeres in the summer, but they don't know that. They're thinking, Man United need a striker. Victor Gyokeres scores goal. He plays under Amorim. He's probably a target. So that's the situation going on right now. Is basically the constant links to Victor Gyokeres, but it's people making stuff up. And we're going to talk about the transfer links and what's real and what's not real and what's being made up. We're going to talk about the Dorgu link. And then I want to talk about the team leak. Because last night, the Manchester United team versus Leicester got leaked. And people were blaming Rashford for being the leaker. Rashford isn't here. The team got leaked. Now, a big Twitter account put out the leaked team last night. They got a lot of stick for putting it out last night, and they quickly deleted the post. So I'm not going to share what the leaked team was because the post has been deleted, and I don't want to give Leicester any advantages in the FA Cup. So I'm not going to tell you what the leaked team was, but we're going to talk about the leaks and the big problem we've got at Manchester United with information being leaked because someone at the club has leaked information, not just to this Twitter account, but I spoke to somebody else and they've had the team leaked to them as well. There's somebody there who is leaking out the team. It's been leaked out 24 hours before a game against Leicester City. And people used to think it was Rashford. Well, it's not Rashford because he's at Aston Villa. The club says it's not Garnacho, it's not Amma. But there's a serious problem, and that's undermining the manager, whether it's a player, whether it's a member of staff. We will discuss that. But I want to talk about transfers and all of that. I want to talk about Dorgu. I want to talk about Ayden Heaven and more. So, let's dive into it. Manchester United have already been linked with over 10 players for the summer transfer window despite the January window just closing. 90% of journalists are simply guessing and have no real information. The confirmed interest is Cunha as a known target. Quenda deal was being worked on, and striker is a major priority, but specific targets remain unknown. So I want to tell you everything you need to know. We are being linked to hundreds of players: Hayden Hackney, Chris Rigg, Joe Bellingham. We've been linked to, Alan Wharton by some sources, Edison. We're not going to sign all the players we're linked to. We know that. We're not stupid. Now, obviously, my job is to report on every bit of transfer news that comes out, unless it's like gutter, rubbish tier source, and tell you my thoughts. And I report the transfer news, what I think United's plans could be, what's being said. But I often say to you guys, I take this with a pinch of salt. I'm not sure. This could be spin. Now, obviously, I report on the transfer news. I talk about the transfer plans. I try and look at everything in a positive light. Like, there was links yesterday that we're looking at to do Cunha and Gyokeres for 120 million. And I try and be positive about that. I think, well, this would be really good if this happened. But let's be real about it. A lot of this is spin. A lot of this is guesswork. A lot of this is the media using United for clicks. And we've got to be a little bit careful with that and what's coming out in regards to Manchester United transfer news and all of that. Manchester United, what we know is we do like Matheus Cunha. Will we get Matheus Cunha? I don't know. There's a lot of competition. Manchester United are, in fact, working on a Quenda deal. And if I had to guess who the next signing would be, it would be Quenda. If I had to guess, because that's been confirmed. And we know by Laurie Whitwell that the striker is a major priority. I believe we will sign Quenda. I believe we will sign a striker. I believe we will look to sign a left 10. We'll look to sign a midfielder. And we'll look to sign a centre-back in the summer window. I believe one of the strikers will be sold. They will look to offload Anthony. They will look to offload Rashford. Whether we get loans or permanents, we'll have to see. Malacia, they'll look to offload. I think Shaw and Mason Mount will be up for sale. I don't know if they'll be able to go with their injury record. I think Casemiro will be up for sale. Lindelof will go. Ericsson will go. But at the end of the day, we can know things and we can assume things. But there's not a journalist out there that knows 100,000,000% this is who Man United are going to sign in the summer. They don't. You know, David Ornstein's very well inclined, Romaно's well inclined, Laurie Witt was well inclined. They probably know, okay, they're probably going to sign Quenda in the summer. They'll probably look to sign this player in the summer. This could be their number one striker target. We've been linked to Delap, we've been linked to Gyokeres, but nobody really knows for sure who it is that we want. And I think the problem is we get so much transfer news and links and stuff, and you've just got to remember, a lot of these stories, it's just complete guesswork. It's, I need something to write about for clicks. Let's say United want Gyokeres, because that's the easiest guesswork article. Is to pretend you have information on Man United have that wanting Gyokeres. I'm sure we are looking at Gyokeres, but it's such a guesswork article. So let's actually break down what we know. Fullbacks and left-sided attacking midfielder are being considered. Obviously, the number one priority is striker, but many journalists are basically speculating for clicks rather than providing accurate information. The positions likely to be enforced are right wing back. We've already got the left wing back and Dorgu, striker. Another attacking reinforcement, as Ruben Amorim has demanded for 2 attacking reinforcements, and the midfielders replace either Eriksson or Casemiro. Potentially, we look at strikers, but that is something to discuss. But I think there's so much coming out in regards to our transfer news and our transfer plans. But actually, a lot of the information coming out is just complete guesses. It's just media taking a complete guess at all of this as well. We are going to talk about this as well. Someone leaking the team for a bit of money. We'll talk about Delap. You know, Delap is one of the strikers linked. Samu, Gyokeres as well. Someone said transfer links are the easiest clickbait. That's the thing. You know, Man United will sign Victor Gyokeres, and then you read it and it's just said Man United are one of the many clubs in for Gyokeres. The media, you know, they lie to us. It's spin. We didn't have a good winter window. Let's spin a bit of this, spin a bit of that. The media will make up stories about Marcus Rashford for clicks. Marcus Rashford negativity makes clicks. Manchester United negativity makes clicks. Dressing room source clicks. Or they will start writing stuff like, we're going to sign Gyokeres. We're going to sign Cunha. The mainstream media, they lie to us a lot. As someone that for the last 5 years has done a video every single day on Manchester United telling you what the mainstream media is saying, so I've read every report from the mainstream media for the last 5 years, I've learned who to trust, who not to trust, and most of them you can't trust. I will give you all the information that's said. I will always give you my opinion on that. Is it reliable? Is it not reliable? My thoughts on that if it could happen. But there's so very few people that you can trust right now because Manchester United get clicks as well. But let's talk more detail. So Ruben Amorim was asked about transfers, the plans going forward for Manchester United, and I do want to discuss that. I do want to discuss the team links. I do want to discuss quite a few things in today's show. So let's talk about the transfers here. Ruben Amorim said this on transfers. I define with Jason Wilcox, the club's technical director, the profile, and then we have a scouting department that makes and does the job. And that is important because everybody has to decide. It's not just one thing from the coach that decides one thing and then we change everything and then it's a completely different profile. We try to find the right players with the physicality for this league, young players, hungry players. And this is the right strategy. This is what Ruben Amorim's talking about. With Dorgu, Ruben Amorim described the profile he wants in his left wing back. And then the scouts go off and look at players in that profile. And then Jason Wilcox will have an overview of that. And then we'll go, do they fit Ruben Amorim's system? Yes. Could they have the physical profile? Yes. Are they young and hungry? Yes. And that's why we've got Patrick Dorgu. And that's the approach. It's not everyone thinks this person's a good signing. Let's go spend loads of money on him. It's not Ten Hag thinks Anthony's a good signing. Let's now drop 85 million on him when we had an opportunity to buy Elise for 35 million in the same window. This is the player that Ruben Amorim wants. The scouts will look at this and then Wilcox, Amorim and the scouts will overview and they will come to a decision. It's not Amorim just chooses. It's not Wilcox just chooses. Everybody chooses. Because when John Mercer's going out and spending 85 million on Anthony because Ten Hag chooses that, or Edward's deciding to spend 80 million on this player, 80 million on that player, this is the right strategy. And the one thing is, it's quite negative around Manchester United. It doesn't feel like a good vibe. It feels like a bit of negative vibe around United at the moment. But I do think things will get better because I think if we can get recruitment right, things will get better. And I think the recruitment strategy, which was a bit of a mess in the summer because we should have sat Ten Hag, and I think that's probably painted it. I think, I have concerns about Ineos, the fact that you sat Ten Hag and you sat Ashworth after, bringing them in, backing them, making them part of the summer spend. You've set us back a bit. But I do think the long-term strategy being this will pay off in the future. I think we will rebuild this team. I think Ten Hag's rebuild was the worst. We had open heart surgery after Ralph Rangnick left, and Ten Hag's team was worse. The players that Ten Hag brought in was the worst out of all the managers, 100% the worst. So for me, this is a massive rebuild. And I think that this rebuild under Ruben Amorim will go better than a 10-odd rebuild. I'm confident that Jason Wilcox and the scouts could bring in the right players and the right profiles. It's just we've got to get out of this toxic environment at United. We need Ineos to back the manager. I don't know how far they're going to back him. I'm talking 5-6 signings in the summer, proper signings, so we can get out of this toxic cycle that is Manchester United. But I like this transfer approach. And I like this transfer strategy as well. Someone said, do you think Garnacho could go potentially in the summer? I said I think it was obviously wasn't going to go in January towards the end, but I think in the summer, it depends how he does between now and the summer. It depends what Garnacho does between now and the summer, how Ruben Amorim sees him fitting in, and what options are available out there to replace them. If Evan Ferguson has a good season at West Ham, watch this space, similar to Gyokeres and better than Hojlund, would swap Brighton Hojlund for Evan Ferguson, says David. Is that slight Irish bias? Well, Evan Ferguson's been out of form, but he was a player that beginning of last season I really liked. He's out of form, but if he can get back in form, it's one to consider. But the problem is with Evan Ferguson is I like him. I think he could be a good player, but I think he would end up turning into Rasmus Hojlund if he came to United. I think the pressure, the lack of goals, if he had a few games without a goal, the lack of service, I think he would just end up turning into Hojlund. I think we need a striker that's ready-made now. Like, I like Evan Ferguson, but I worry because he's not had it good at Brighton these last few months. Is United the right club for him? We don't give our strikers service. They're all young and failing. I like him, but I'm sceptical. It'll be interesting to see how he does at West Ham. I think there's a player there. I think there's a talented player there. In an ideal world, we would have signed Evan Ferguson and Kane 2 years ago, and Evan Ferguson would have been learning off Kane. But obviously that didn't happen. But I like the player for sure. But I think we need to do a bit better. Ferguson's better player mid. I'd say he's probably could be better than Xerxes, but there's not much in it this season. But I think, to be honest, I would have a look at Evan Ferguson, see how he does at West Ham, but I think we need experience. We need experience in that striker role. So let's continue on into team leaks a lot more. So the Man United starting 11 had been leaked 24 hours before the game. A lineup had been sent to many people, including journalists and social media X accounts. A big X account with 300,000 followers leaked the team yesterday and put out information about who was in the starting lineup. Now, for me, this is not good enough. This is not good enough. I'm not going to be here putting out what the alleged leaked team was. It might be wrong. Well, I'll have to wait and see. I'm not going to be here putting out what the alleged leaked team was, because if I did that 7-8 hours before the Leicester game, it's only going to help Leicester, not Manchester United. And I want Manchester United to have the best chance of winning. So I'm not going to share what that was. But I want to talk about this because this is a serious problem. Why is team news being leaked 24 hours behind the game? Amorim's given the players a big warning about this. Amorim has warned people at the club. Ineos have warned people at the club. And we had the big leaking. Was it the Manchester City game where it got leaked, 24 hours before? I don't know what game it was. They had the big leaking. Everyone was like, well, it must be Rashford leaking the team. It must be Rashford leaking the team. Well, Rashford's gone. And the team is still being leaked. They said it's not Garnacho. They said it's not Ahmad, despite some rumours. And I don't believe it was Garnacho or Ahmad. I heard it wasn't Garnacho and Ahmad either. But someone at this club is leaking the team. They're selling out information. And if you get the team leaked to you, don't leak it early, because it doesn't help Manchester United. We shouldn't be encouraging this. I want to avoid speculation over who the leaker might be, but I will say this to you guys. It might not be a player. It might not be a player. It might be a member of staff. There's somebody at Manchester United, and I don't know if it was the person leaking the team 5 years ago, but there's always one or two people there that cannot be trusted that will leak the team. Maybe not intentionally. Maybe one of them tells their brother what the team is and their brother's gone off and leaked it. Who knows? Maybe it wasn't intentional. But Manchester United players need to be careful to be hush-hush about the team. Because when it's coming out 24 hours before a match, it's only going to benefit them, not us. It's only going to give Leicester time to think, oh, well, this is their game plan, not us. We've been warned about this. This has happened so many times. And this is the 4th time this season I think the team's been leaked almost the night before a game. And these are big games. People might say Leicester FA Cup, small game. We need to win a trophy. I spoke about it with Cass yesterday or Wednesday when we did a stream. Manchester United have got to win a trophy this season, because if we win the FA Cup, we get back in Europa. If we win Europa, we get back in the Champions League. I don't think we're finishing in the top 8. I don't think we're finishing in a European position in the league. So we need to win a trophy this season. That's a big problem we've had. Leaks at Old Trafford, leaks in the squad, leaks all over. That's the sad thing about this club. There's dressing room leaks, there's team leaks, there's leaks at Old Trafford. Ruben Amorim was sitting in a press conference that was leaking. Sometimes the early team news is not always accurate. The one that was leaked out by this guy last time was spot on. So that's my only concern. But you always have to take it with a pinch of salt. Now, we will talk about Ayden Heaven and Dorgu. Will they play? Blah, 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 blah. We will talk about that in a second. But it is worrying. It is absolutely worrying. We need to be checking. We need to be doing an investigation into these leaks. Apparently we have, and we knew who the culprit was. I don't think the club know who the culprit is, because if we've done an investigation into the leaks, you know who the culprit is. Why are they still coming out? Why are they still coming out? That's the problem. As well. Someone said nice frog. Have I got a frog? I don't know. Someone said blame the bus driver. I mean, people saying I still blame Rashford. He's left. Oh, like it's infuriating that this is just disrespectful to Amorim. It doesn't matter if it's a player, it doesn't matter if it's a member of staff. The fact that the team and information is being leaked is incredibly disrespectful to Ruben Amorim. It really is, because he doesn't want that leaked. This gives him a disadvantage. Now, I'm going to talk about my team and what my team will be for the game, and then I want to talk about Dorgu and comments that Amorim has made in regards to who will be playing and what we do know about the team. But I want to see a Patrick Dorgu debut, and I think we could see a Patrick Dorgu debut. In fact, we will probably 99.9% see a Patrick Dorgu debut today. But let's dive into the team. Let's dive into my team for the game and what I would like to see, because this is an FA Cup game and it's a somewhat important game. So anyway, hear me out. But I think we will see. We're not going to drop Heaven in. All right. It's going to be Masraouy's going to be the left centre back. I reckon we'll go with De Ligt over Maguire, because Maguire started the last game for rotation, and Euro will keep the right centre back role to deal with any pace that we might need to deal with. Bayindir and Heaton have injury issues, so Onana in goal. Now, Delo will not get a rest. Probably won't get a rest till the end of the season. But this is time for Dorgu to shine at left wing back. And this is the perfect game to bring him in and start in. It's not a Premier League game. It's not a particularly hard game. This is the perfect game to bring him in, see what he's got. He's been playing this season. This is the perfect game for Dorgu. Now, we talk pivot. Obviously, Bruno's going to play. He's missed bloody loads of legs. I think Agate will be rested for the Premier League. And I think we'll see Collier in the midfield there. That's what I do. Now, this is the front line. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Because, to be honest, this is what I want to see. Ahmad, Maino. I think Maino's good in 10. And for this game particularly, I would go with Hojlund. Now, I think Xerxes been better than Hojlund lately, but I think mobility-wise, Hojlund and Ahmad would complement Maino there playing as a left 10. So this is the team I want to see versus Leicester. Rest Agate, rest Garnacho. Garnacho's better when he's fresh. I think Hojlund is more suited to this game than Xerxes. It's a shame we can't rest Delo. You could arguably say, well, actually, I'm going to play Ahmad right wing back, and I'm going to put, Maino in here, and I'm going to put Garnacho in here. I could do that, but I prefer the other lineup. Although Delo hasn't been great at wing back, I think he would do a better job at full back as well. We're on our way to Wembley. I'm assuming you're a Liverpool or Newcastle fan. I tell you what, Tottenham, man, they really let me down yesterday. When you're watching Tottenham, and you're just really hoping they do something, because I didn't want Liverpool to go to the final, and then to lose 4-0, and then one of the most important games of the season. That is the most Tottenham thing. Careful, this doesn't get leaked. Well, that's not the team. What I've put there on the screen, by the way, wasn't the leaked team. There's a few similarities. But that is the two teams I'd like to see. It wasn't the league team, just to clarify. Because, again, the league team might not be accurate. But if a team was leaked, someone got loads of stick and this person leaked the team accurately before and then they deleted the post, I don't want to put out what the alleged league team was that got leaked last night, because it's been deleted and it seems to, people can't seem to find it anymore, which is good. So I don't want to put that information out in the off chance that someone at Leicester would watch this video, see this, and this would benefit Leicester. I don't want to put that out. So I'm just telling you the team I'd like to see. It's not the league team, it's the team I'd like to see. Because, we need to stop this information coming out. Putting a league team out 20, 30 minutes before the team's going to come out, whatever. But when it's 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours before the team's going to come out, it's not great. But 24 hours, that gives Leicester and Ruud van Nistelrooy a whole evening to think, if they're going to do that, then I could do this and I could do that and make those changes. Man's at left centre-back, I don't know, Man says David. Well, who's going to play? Ayden Heaven, Delo, Masraoui, Euro. We don't have Shaw and we don't have Leacher. You could do De Ligt right centre-back, Maguire central centre-back, Euro left centre-back. You could do Majraoui left centre-back. You could try Delo left centre-back. Malassi is gone. There's very few options at left centre-back. We obviously got Kokonki and Heaven. We called up one of the left-backs to first team training, but yeah. Should put some pride aside and retained Ruud, who was willing to stay on as assistant, seemed to click while he was there. I think, look, I'm glad we got Amorim, and I think Amorim will be great. But I do think, could we have just stuck with Ruud to the end of the season and got Amorim in the summer, and then we can actually bring in the players to suit Amorim's system in the summer? I do think, would that have been more beneficial? But then, at least Amorim, even if it's not looking great, at least Amorim is implementing his system now. So next season, when he picks up Manchester United, the players will know his system and he'll know which players can and can't play his system, rather than us learning that next year and making next season a write-off. These last 2 seasons in the Premier League have been a write-off. And for Manchester United to write 2 seasons in a row in the Premier League off is a disgrace. But it is just short-term pain, I think, for long-term gain. Time for Kokonki to step up. I think Kokonki was getting in the squad and stuff, but he's only 16. Well, he turned 17 yesterday, didn't he? Or last week, sorry. So I think that would be very early to rely on Kokonki to step up at age 16. I think Ayden Heaven coming in, being 18, actually played for Arsenal, got a bit of experience under his belt. I think Ayden Heaven coming in is probably smarter because he's got a bit more experience than Kokonki. Like, Kokonki's great, but look, with Chido, with Kokonki, it's not like we can just throw them in and they're going to save us. I feel like there's this copium that if we throw Chido in and Kokonki in, they're going to save us. They're going to save our season. They're not. They might give us something. They might be impressive. They might be like, we can play them more, and these are options. But at 16, you can't rely on them to save your season. I think they can be good players. Like when Maino came in, but Maino didn't save our season. He made us better, he didn't save our season. But it is a mindset of, let's give the youth a chance. Someone said Alice needs some shine. I'm tired. I can't lie. I'm knackered today. I'm trying to stay awake, but let me yawn. Let me have a sip of water. That'll wake me up. There we go. I'm falling asleep a little bit today. I can't lie to you. I like Obi Martin. I like Kokonki. I like Ayden Heaven. I'm happy to give them 10 minutes off the bench, see what they can do, give them a little bit here and there. But you can't just think, yeah, we're going to start these 3 youngsters and they're going to save the season. They're probably not. I think Obi Martin, 100%. Give him a 10-minute cameo off the bench today and see what he can do. 100%. Because Zergs isn't doing it, Hojlund isn't doing it. He's doing great in the under-21s. I think starting Chido is a risk, because if he has a bad game, unfortunately, people will write him off. And if he doesn't score and doesn't touch much of the ball and it's a bad game, unfortunately, people will think he's a flop. And that will ruin his confidence at 17 years of age, because people are so reactionary. Like, Matthias Dell had a terrible debut for Tottenham yesterday. But that wasn't his fault. That was because he was thrown into a team that never shot on target and was barely given the ball. And I worry that we'd throw Kokonki in, not Kokonki, we throw Chido in for his debut, that would happen. And everyone would be like, he's rubbish. Oh, he's not ready. And that ruins Chido's confidence. But yeah, I want to dive into the youth. I think Kokonki will be one that we look at in pre-season and maybe next year. But I think Ayden Heaven and Chido are 2 youth players that we were looking at and thinking, well, let's give them 10-15 minutes, see what they can do. Let's give them 10-15 minutes, see what they can do as well. But let's dive into more news. Let's dive into more stories, because Ruben Amorim has actually spoken about these players being thrown in, this and that. So he spoke about tomorrow's game, and he said a few things. He said, on whether Patrick Dorgu and Ayden Heaven will play tomorrow, he said, we'll see, you guys have to wait until tomorrow, but they're ready to play. They are 2 more solutions. So that's what Ruben Amorim said. He then said on the players, he said, we're trying to find the right players with the physicality for this league. Young players, hungry players. Sometimes we cannot spend a lot of money on players. So that is kind of the profile we look for. And Patrick Dorgu, he has the ability to play in this team and improve it. Ayden Heaven, the same thing. He's young, he's left-footed, he's a central defender. He's the right pro for us in this moment. And Ruben Amorim saying, with Dorgu, with Heaven, they're young players, they're raw players, but we sign them because they're the right profile. They improve the physicality. They can play the football I want to play, and they are. And even Diego Leon is the right profile. There's the right profile players coming in regards to the youth. I don't know what it is about me. Everyone's saying, Alice, you look all sleepy. I don't know what it is. It's just this. I feel like this room just makes me feel really sleepy, and the lighting in my eyes are like this. So I do apologise if I'm a bit sleepy, or if I've not made sense at points in this live stream, because I've sort of switched off a bit. I also want to talk about Chido. So he spoke about the youth, he spoke about the youngsters, he said there could be minutes there for them. He also was asked about Chido. He said he's doing an amazing job. He's improving, he's playing in the youth teams, and we have also other players that can play in that position. Hojlund and Xerxes are there. We brought in these two players, so we need to improve them, and then sometimes the confidence can change a player. And what Amorim is saying is he's got Xerxes, he's got Hojlund, he's brought them in. His job is to get the best out of them. It's to improve them, to see if he can get some goals on them, get the confidence up. Because I think particularly with those strikers, confidence is a massive thing. I think Hojlund, when he was confident, he kept banging it in. I think it's a massive thing, and it's true. But he's obviously praising Obi Martin. And I think what Amorim is thinking of is he's going to work with Hojlund, he's going to work with Xerxes. The goal is to improve them, it's to get them back in form. But he might give Obi Martin 10 minutes off the bench here and there. But he's not planning on dropping them to start Obi Martin. I know he started Man Utd striker. I know he doesn't rate our current crop of strikers. But he doesn't want to start a 17-year-old and take that risk because it might not be fair on Chido. I'm happy to see Chido come off the bench, get some opportunities, 100%. I'm happy to see, Ayden Heaven come off the bench, get some opportunities, 100%. See what they do in those opportunities. Could they come off the bench another game? Could they start another game? 100% happy to see that. But we have to be really careful of moulding in the youth because it's an unstable environment. We have to be really careful of who we bring in and how we bring in as well. Someone said visualise drinking a white can of Monster. I might need to do that. Isak won't leave for another Premier League club. I would love Isak at United, but we've got no chance as well. We have to be very careful with these youth lads, especially in the current situation. Yeah, I don't want to throw in youth lads and not have the best game. People write them off and it ruins their confidence. Chido is very, very good, but under 21s, he's finding it a big difference to under 18s. He's not ready yet, but will be. That's the thing. I think he's a great player, Chido. I think he will be ready. I think he will be ready soon. I think he will be a top player. But I don't think he's ready to just come into this first team and make a huge impact like I think some people think. But again, 10 minutes off the bench versus Leicester, I want to see what he's got. You know, people thought Marcus Rashford wasn't ready and he came in and scored on his debut. You don't know for sure what they can do until they get in the big games. But 10 minutes for Leicester, I think that's the game for it. 10 minutes versus Leicester, you know, you look at Liverpool, they played some of their youngsters in the cup. You know, Dan's has played, Rio has played. Obviously, they played lesser teams than Leicester. They're playing teams like Accrington Stanley. But it will be really nice to actually, you know, give the youngsters 10, 15 minutes, but we should start a lot of them. No rush. How many 16, 17-year-olds currently ripping up the Premier League? None. Wanyeri's 17. That's it. Wanyeri's the only 17 that's doing something in the Premier League right now. I mean, Mikey Moore's 17 as well. Wanyeri and Mikey Moore. And now Wanyeri's scoring goals and Mikey Moore looks good, but it's so rare. It's time for Being Cheery now. Chido's not ready yet. Being Cheery's out injured with a hand injury, I believe, as well. But I do like Being Cheery. We've got Wheatley, Being Cheery, and Obi Martin. There was Ethan Ennis, Ethan Williams as well. All the Ethans as well. Ethan Wheatley. We got a lot of good young players. This is what was said on Xerxes and Hojlund by Amorim. He said, Rasmus and Josh are there. We brought these two players, so we need to improve them, and then sometimes the confidence can change the player. We will see at the end of the season, but until then, we have two strikers that can score goals that proved in the past. Let's see if we can improve as a team and help them score more goals. This is what I interpret this is, and what Amorim said here is, I interpret this as Amorim basically saying, we're going to see what happens with Xerxes and Josh, but if they don't perform at the end of the season, they'll probably go in the summer. I think Ruben Amorim's very open to selling Rasmus Hojlund and Joshua Xerxes in the summer. I think the fact that he demanded number 9, played Maynard at 9, isn't giving any of them regular minutes, he's open to selling both of these guys in the summer. It's very obvious that. But he's saying we will see at the end of the season. You know, we'll see what happens at the end of the season. I know they can score goals, but they're not. I think he wants to get them in form. He wants to get them playing the best. If he can do that, he might keep the one that's doing that. But I think he's very open to selling both. I think one of the strikers will go, not both. But I think Ruben Amorim is very open to selling both strikers. Hojlund, who was untouchable back in August, I think he's open to signing as well. I can't wait for Diego Leon in the squad. Yeah, we'll be seeing him in pre-season. He comes in the summer as well. Would you say Being Cheery's more than Chido? Probably not. I think Chido is more physically built. But I don't think there's loads in it as of yet. It was also said in terms of injuries that Altay Bayendir has a problem, so will not be available for the game. Tom's also not ready, so we could see Eli Harrison on the bench, maybe even started. I'm assuming Anana's going to start in a game like this, but you never know. We could see Academy star Eli Harrison on the bench in this kind of game. Continuing on, PSG are closing in on an agreement with Nuno Mendes over a deal, la-di-la. Basically, Manchester United were used to get him a good new deal on contract at PSG. Surprise, surprise. I wanted Nuno Mendes. I thought it would be great, but I did say, look, there's a possibility he's probably just using us to get a new deal at PSG. So I'm not totally surprised by that, but I would have loved him. I would have loved him to run down his contract because he suits Amorim's system more than PSG's system and all of that. But he's an unbelievable left back, and sadly, we won't be getting him. Christian Volk said that Tell would still like to join Manchester United in the summer if he can. Again, one game at Tottenham and he makes that decision. I don't know. It's not the most reliable. And then for Chase Football, who in my opinion are a tier 5 nonsense source, so that Victor Gyokeres' mindset is to join United in the summer. He has an offer from Arsenal and Barcelona, but he wants United. Apparently that's what Gyokeres wants. But again, this here on my screen is like tier 5 gutter source information. This for Chase Football. So while, you know, Victor Gyokeres choosing United over Barcelona and Arsenal is great, I think it is just, he's one of those waffle merchants as well. But guys, I wanted to do like a half an hour live show just to talk about the Manchester United news, talk about the game tonight, give you my thoughts. I do apologise that I was sort of falling asleep a little bit through this live stream. I don't know what it is, but I'm absolutely knackered. But if there's any breaking news, I will be back with some news stories and more. If not, you'll see me for Manchester United versus Leicester tonight, giving my reaction analysis on the game. And I also want to say, and I don't know how close we are right now, but I am on 105,999 subscribers. So if you're watching right now and you're not subscribed, I'm literally one subscriber away from 106k, which is pretty crazy. So big up everyone that's tuned in. Big up everyone supporting the channel. I will be back later. Thank you for watching. Bye.